Hey guys, I'm Chef D-Max. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today, a really simple kind of back to school special. We've got quesadillas. Everybody knows how to make these. These could be dorm room quesadillas. So stay with me, click subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and ring that bell and I'll send you new things I have coming up. So I'll see you back in a second with quesadillas for your dorm room. Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so we've got simple quesadillas. Now, obviously if you're in a dorm room, you're probably doing everything on a hot plate or one hot pan. You got a little heating element there. And so you don't want a lot of stuff in it. So the one I'm making today is pork and green chili quesadillas. So obviously if you want this super simple, you can just use the same method and do cheese only. But I'm gonna show you how to do this. So first thing I do is I start with some pork. I've got a hot pan here. And I'm going to put some oil in it, even though I don't need a lot of oil because the pork is already oily as it is, right? And I'm going to go ahead and lay this this is 1 pound of ground pork. Now, 1 pound of ground pork will make a lot of quesadillas. But I always get a pound, and then I figure, okay, I'll just use it for something else if I don't need all of it at that time. But it's better just to cook it all. So with that, I'm going to season it with a little salt. Okay, and then some black pepper. Excuse me. Wow, I just said the word black pepper and I sneezed. So I didn't even have to create the black pepper. It was just the thought of it. So right now what we're looking to do is kind of saute this up. So I'm going to break it up a little bit as it's sauteing. Okay, and now all the fat from this is going to start to come out, and we can break this up so it's tiny little pieces of pork. Okay, now what I want to do while I wait for that is let's get our onions ready. So here I've got a whole onion, and I'm going to go ahead and slice the onion. Why am I slicing it? Because, you know, cutting stuff really small and tiny in a dorm room is not easy. So a lot of times you're doing this on a little board, right? If you even add the onion at all. Realistically, in a dorm room, you're probably hungry and tired, and you just want to put cheese on there and be done with it. But if you're making these at home, these are really nice to do sliced onion like this, and we're going to add this in with our pork as it's cooking to give a nice flavorful mixture. So just slicing it straight down like that in thin slices. That's it. Now there's a lot of water in that. I don't want to put it in yet. It's almost going to act to deglaze a little bit the pork. So I'll break it up here. You see how I flipped it? It's got a little bit of brown on there. It's really nice. I want to brown the pork a little bit before I add in the onion, because the onion itself is going to add more moisture to this. Right now, as the pork's cooking, it's not really adding a lot of moisture. It's adding more fat. The fat comes down. The fat fries the meat in a way. And then when we put the onions, they're going to add the water from the onion, and that's going to kind of steam off and cook everything. So if I get the pork a little bit crispy now and a little bit textural with a little golden brown texture, then it's not going to look all pale white. It'll have like a little bit of kind of char to it, and that caramelization you're putting on the meat gives it really nice flavor. So I got to cook this down for a couple minutes, and then we're going to add our onions, and I'll see you back in a second. Okay, we're back for a second here, and I've got my pork is kind of starting to break down like this. Any juice that's in the pork is kind of steaming off at this point too. The fat is already rendered, okay? At this point, I want to season it with a little bit of, first I want to do is season it with a little cumin powder and coriander. Now, if you don't have these, that's fine. You don't need them. I'm going to put like a teaspoon of cumin powder in there. And I've got coriander powder, which is the seed of the cilantro plant. So it makes only perfect sense when you're making a quesadilla, right? But again, you're not going to have those. Usually if you're cooking in a dorm room, you don't have a spice rack in there, but maybe your mom sent you one. But if you don't have those spices, just salt and pepper is going to be fine. Now, I want to stir that in a little bit. Now, if you want, at this point, we can add the onions in. So I'm going to put the onions on top. Let those start to steam out a little as well. and cook down. We're not looking to caramelize these onions. I just want that nice onion flavor in there. Okay. I actually want the onions to retain a little bit of their freshness, if you will. So I'm going to let that cook. And that's going to take about another 2 to 3 minutes to cook. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, we've cooked this for another couple minutes. You can see the onions at this point, they're like sauteed in here, but they're not like caramelized, right? They're just broken down. We've let the flavor of the onion kind of come together with the meat, the pork, and it's done. At this point, I just want to take it and I'm just going to go ahead and pour it into my little pan here to take care of it. Now, if you were having this, if you had the, see in this pan, all you do is really scrape it out at this point. Okay, it doesn't even need to be washed. That's the nice part about if you have a cast iron, because cast iron, you can just put that in there, scrape the bottom, and put it right. Wow, that's delicious. Put it right in here, and then we can go to town, okay? Okay, so now we're ready to kind of go. Okay, I have some tortillas. I'm going to stick these in the microwave for 10 seconds just to soften them up. Okay, I just softened those up in the microwave for about 10 seconds. I do that so they bend really easy, and it kind of freshens them up too. If you have them in the fridge or you had them kept them in the freezer or something, it keeps them nice. Now I've got little small ones here, so I'm going to make these little guys. While my pan's hot, I got to get working on this. So the first thing I want to do is I have some refried beans here. Now you can just have these in a can. You can just open the can up if you want and just smear them on, and they're going to warm up on their own. Okay, so you can just keep a can of refried beans. What the can of refried beans is going to do is it's going to give you a nice creaminess to this quesadilla without it just being the creaminess of the cheese. And it's going to kind of stick the whole thing together, which is what I like about it. Kind of seals it in a bit. So you just wipe them on there like that. You see how that works? All right. Now, I also had some canned chilies. These are a green chili. Now, again, I love green chili and pork, but if you don't like that, just leave it out. Obviously, if you had really nice green chilies, these are actually Hatch chilies, which is a really famous chili in the Southwest. Super mild, really flavorful, really nice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my pork, and I'm just going to put my little my pork meat kind of. I'll start it and just go in the middle, and then I'll push it to the side where it needs to be, like that. Okay, and then I'll try it, make sure it tastes good, and it does. It's got nice seasoning on that. Okay, so just 2 tablespoons per piece there, right? And then the most important piece is the cheese. Now, if you only have the cheese, you can use just the cheese. But if you, otherwise, I use a mix of cheddar and Monterey Jack here. But that's up to you. You could use just Monterey Jack, whatever you'd like to use. Okay, now, we got our pan back on. And I'm gonna put oil in here. You wanna put a good amount of oil because you want these to like get a nice saute. And it's got some of the pork fat in there too, which is even better. Now, I'm gonna kind of flop this over and kind of press it down, right? And I'm going to flip it on this side because it's going to kind of hold down nice with the beans like that. So, and then the cool part is, you know, if a little cheese falls in here in your pan, that's fine because there's nothing better really than melted cheese. So let's let this melt for a little bit and I'll be right back. Okay, I wanted to clean off my cutting board here for a second. And now we're going to check on these. They've just been sauteing for a minute. Let's go ahead and flip them. You can always flip them back. See how you get a nice golden on that? And that's what we're looking for. Nice golden brown on there. Now, if you're using a bigger tortilla, it's no different. It's the same. These little ones, it's not imperative you use these little ones. And then what I'm going to do at this point is I turn it off. And what that does is it's gonna let the residual of that heat from this hot cast iron, takes a while to kind of cool down. So we'll let this thing cool down. By the time it cools down, it's going to be really nice. We're going to cut one of these and try it. But again, like we said, if you don't have the pork meat, and you don't have the green chili, and you don't have all of that. You can just do these with cheese. It's a really simple process. Some people out there have no clue even how to make a quesadilla. So, you know, there it is. It's super easy, right? It's not any mystery out there. You're just sauteing this in a beautiful pan, plenty of oil in there, a nice couple minutes on each side, and then you let it cool. I like to let it cool and settle for a second. Now, adding the pork meat, you could change that for hamburger meat. You could do turkey meat as well. You could do the onion, no onion. You could add garlic. So there's a lot of different dimensions you can do when you change this quesadilla. If you want as well, you can leave out the beans, you can leave out the chilies, anything you'd like, okay? So with this, I want to take this out now, and it's got a nice crust on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop this into little bite-sized pieces, like this. Okay, and I'm going to put these right around my plate. These are kind of little bite-sized guys right here. So it's perfect if you have friends over and there's nothing better than that. A nice crispy flour tortilla shell cooked in some pork fat with some green chilies, a little bit of refried beans, and a wonderful blended cheese. So you guys are going to love this. Super easy to make. You're going to try it at home or try it in your dorm room. Try it anywhere. Have fun with it. I'll see you back in my kitchen soon. I'm Chef Dean Max.